There's a type of person you should absolutely be terrified of. They're the ones who follow every single rule, perfectly ironed clothes, straight lines everywhere. They never question authority, no matter how insane the command is. And the most disturbing question is, what are they desperately trying to hold back? Psychoanalysis tells us that when someone grips external rules this tightly, it's because their internal world is collapsing. And the movie The Experiment shows us exactly what happens when you give these people power. I'm a psychoanalyst, and today I'm breaking down one of the most chilling character studies in cinema, Michael, the prison guard who takes obedience to a terrifying extreme. This movie is based on the Stanford Prison Experiment, a real psychological study from 1971 that spiraled so far out of control they had to shut it down after just 6 days. By the end of this video, you'll understand why rule followers can be more dangerous than rebels. Let's get into it.
Michael Barris.
Travis.
In the movie, we meet two men, Michael and Travis. On the surface, Michael seems perfect, clean-cut, respectful, shows up to the interview in pressed pants. But there is a critical question asked during the psychological screening. Do you believe in absolute good and evil? Michael says yes. He believes in God, follows religion, trusts that moral authority comes from somewhere outside of him.
So, do we have the proper respect for authority?
Now compare that to Travis. When asked how he makes decisions, Travis points inward. He says, my own morality, my own sense of right and wrong. Here's the psychological difference. Michael needs someone else to tell him what's good or bad. A law, a rule, a religious text. Without it, he's lost. Travis has a gut instinct. He can look at the law and say, wait, is this actually ethical? Even if it's legal, he can challenge it. And this difference, it's everything. So where does this come from? Why does one person become Michael and another become Travis? Psychoanalysis, especially Lacanian theory, points to early childhood, specifically the relationship between mother and infant. This is going to sound abstract, but stay with me because it's very important. When a baby is born, they don't know who they are. The first place they discover themselves is the mother's gaze. Think about how mothers look at their babies. It's pure adoration. You're the most beautiful, brilliant little creature in the world. That loving gaze creates a safe internal core. It becomes the foundation for everything: self-worth, empathy, moral reasoning. A child who receives that gaze grows up with an internal anchor. They can question rules because they trust their own judgment. But some mothers can't give that gaze. Maybe they're severely depressed, maybe they're psychotic, maybe they're drowning in their own trauma. Instead of love, they project anxiety, fear, and emptiness. And their child absorbs it. They grow up with no internal anchor, just a screaming void inside. So what do? They grab onto external rules like a drowning person grabs a life raft. Just tell me what to do. I'll follow it perfectly. I don't care if it's moral or immoral. I just need the structure to survive. Here's the gut punch detail from the movie. Michael is 42 years old and still lives with his mother. She verbally abuses him, controls him, and the only reason he joined this experiment? To pay her rent. This is a grown man who never escaped. He's still trapped in that toxic maternal relationship. And those external rules? they're his only way to breathe. The other guards in the experiment, they know they're doing something wrong. They even feel guilty. They're aware they're crossing a line. But not Michael. For Michael, the rules are sacred. He says things like, rules are beautiful. They tell you exactly what to do. Because without them, he'd have to face that internal void, and that's unbearable. There's a brilliant visual metaphor in the movie, the red warning light. Throughout the experiment, the prisoners keep waiting for someone to step in, for a red light to flash and say, "Stop, you've gone too far." But it never comes. And psychoanalytically, this represents castration, not in the literal sense, but symbolic. It's the moment when a third party, usually the father figure, steps in and says, "This relationship between you and your mother is unhealthy. I'm cutting it." That intervention creates boundaries. It teaches the child, you are separate from your mother. You have your own identity. But for Michael, that never happened. No father, no red light, just endless drowning in maternal chaos. So in the prison experiment, he keeps waiting for someone to stop him, to draw the line. And when no one does, he keeps escalating because his internal red light was never installed. Here's the terrifying takeaway. When people like Michael gain power, they don't see cruelty. They see obedience to authority. They're the ones who join cults, who follow fascist regimes, who say, "I was just following orders." And we see this pattern everywhere. The neighbor who reports people to HOA for minor violations. The middle manager who enforces pointless corporate policies. The cop who pepper sprays a protester because it's protocol. They're not evil in the cartoon villain sense. They're psychologically empty, desperately clinging to external structure. And that makes them more dangerous than someone who consciously chooses evil, because at least a rebel knows they're breaking rules. Michael doesn't even have that awareness. So, the next time you meet someone who follows every rule without question, who never bends, never doubts, never reflects, please pay attention, because the scariest people aren't the rebels. They're the ones who cannot survive without someone telling them what to do.
I can't feel what's happening, right? You're fucking crazy. You know that?
If you want more psychology breakdowns like this, subscribe to Psycho Cinema. Next week, I'm going to analyze why smart people are drawn to toxic relationships. And trust me, you want to know that. And if you've seen this movie, let me know what you think in the comments.